I think my role on the ice over the years is going to change. I mean, there's some kids coming in that are ready to step in and play, and those are minutes that they have to have and they need to do to keep developing into the stars that they're going to be.
Is it something that you be okay with if you were asked to do, fewer minutes?
I'm honestly, I talked to our staff a little bit throughout the end of the year, and obviously my minutes were really low at the end of the season, and understood where they wanted the direction they wanted to go and what they needed to do. And again, next year we'll have that same conversation. That I'm pretty open to almost anything as long as I know what's going on and I understand where my position is and what I'm supposed to be bringing to the table.
Do you like the future? Do you like, what you saw the last month or 20 games or whatever it was?
Yeah, it's hard to judge. It's one of those things that you don't want to get your expectations too high because we're playing for nothing essentially. But it's experience, and that's a good thing. Our kids are they've been developing down there, and some of the time when they've been up here, it's been great seeing them, and I think we're excited about the future of the team for sure. But again, we're going to come into training camp with that same mentality that we got to be better throughout the whole season.
As the captain, I know you took a lot on yourself. How hard was this, and maybe stressful, during that losing streak and everything else?
Oh, it was terrible. I mean, this is the hardest thing in sports to go through for me this far. We're accustomed to a certain way of playing here and a certain way of doing things, and going through streaks like that aren't really part of it. In the 14 years of my career, I don't think we've ever had anything like that. So it was a really hard experience throughout the year, but also a learning experience.
Yeah, what was the thing you learned? Maybe you learned anything about yourself or the team that you didn't know about before? Through adversity?
Learned a few things on the fact that we let that kind of stuff happen. So our group had to address something head on that was a problem, obviously, and we were able to do that and move on for the rest of the year. But unfortunately, it put us too far behind at that point.
Why do you think it all went kind of haywire there? You had a 4-game winning streak. You beat Pittsburgh pretty soundly there, and then it seemed like the tires came off.
Well, we had a good road trip. That whole trip was really good on the East Coast there. And then, I don't think there's anything I can put my finger on. There was a lot of things throughout this year that kind of went wrong right from the start. From a buying in standpoint to the way we wanted to play, to some confusion, and ultimately that's how the year goes.
Some guys mentioned, it's a good wake-up call. Or not a good, but it was a wake-up call. Maybe not good, but but a wake-up call. Can that become good? I mean, for some of these guys in the room, they've never experienced anything like this. You were playing in the playoffs.
Yeah,
it was a given.
Yeah, it's it's definitely a humbling experience when you're talking about the parity in the league and how well you have to play every night to compete. And I think guys that haven't been here for very long will have learned that you have to compete every night here. There's no, you can't take nights off. You can't be half in, and that's what a lot of times we were this year.
Will you watch a lot of the playoffs?
I have 4 kids that are running around and been waiting for Dad to be home. So if we're sitting around the house, they'll probably be on in the background if my kids want it. But other than that, I don't pay too much attention.
You have a coaching change this summer. You usually get input on that in the past. Would you like to have input?
Well, I've only had one other coach, but it's me and Bob talk a lot. This year things could be different. I don't know, because I've said this. I mentioned it before. I don't think the new coach is being brought in to coach me. I've been here a long time, and obviously my years are numbered at the end here. And we got to have a coach that understands the young players and understands how to push their buttons and get them where he wants them. So I think the coaching change will be more focused on that, I'm sure. And ultimately, Bob's been down here for the last 2 months. So a lot of the questions that he has for me normally deal with what our group needs, what our group's doing on a day-to-day basis. And he's been fortunate enough to be down there for that. So he may not ask too many questions this year. I don't know.
You have a couple years left on your contract. How much do you want to? How much desire do you have to see this turned around to where you're a deep playoff team, maybe even a cup contender again? Is that kind of like an overriding thing?
Yeah, I mean that's ultimately every season when I get here in September. That's what I want to do, and that's where I want to be. And once that drive's gone, then I'll be gone. So that drive to get there again has been there every year, and will continue to be there. Like I said, as long as I'm in this dressing room.